This is the second part of the video. So according to the Singapore GovTech, they have been enabled to develop a module which is easy to exchange the data across the government by aggregating the collection of data, and also they have been able to develop their policies and monitor operations without any problems. So this is actually the layered tech stack that they have introduced for their government. So the bottom, there are actually 4 layers that they have introduced. So the first bottom layer is the hosting platform layer. So there you can actually they have actually enabled the hosting platforms at the bottom layer according to their documentation, GovTech dev documentation. They have enabled public AWS clouds, and also Google Cloud as well for the restrict environments, and the agencies in the in Singapore can actually select whatever the hosting platform that they need to that they prefer. So the second tier is actually the middleware section. So they have actually a stack of API gateways such as WGAA, and also one is Apex, and also Nectar is another one that they have introduced. So there are different types of middleware available within this tier, and there is another layer that they have introduced, the microservices layer. It is actually a reusable common service. So the agencies can utilize to build applications such as digital identities for authentication can be facilitated by here. And also the digital services section, it is an easy to use, accessible and secure digital environment, so that improves the lives of citizens and the business in Singapore. So this is actually the tech stack that they have come up, and so according to that, Singapore have been able to serve their citizens and other related parties such as agencies without being worried about underlying infrastructure. So according to SGT's tech stack, this approach is a better approach when we compare it with the other platforms. So, and also the government of Denmark has recognized the reuse of high quality data as an essential basis for public authorities in order to perform their task properly and efficiently. And also it modernized the public sector as well. So the concept of good basic data is actually came up with this strategy. So also in United States, they have twice as many people interact with online government services by operating a better environment for the citizens. So according to these facts, it is evident that most of the governments in different parts of the world have realized the importance of having a digital government framework, so in order to facilitate and interact with their citizens. So the fourth part of my paper is the major areas in the technology stack. So when it comes to implementing a correct digital tech stack which has DevOps enabled for a government infrastructure, we need to be aware on certain constraints. So there are certain attributes that we need to consider, and those we consider as major areas to be considered in the digital tech stack. So one is performance and speed. So the tech stack should possess the ability to perform well during the deployment, volume changes, less complex. It should be less complex to manage and should provide faster resolutions for the problems. Second point is it should be open source. Having an open source tools obviously enables the developers to access and leverage on the application, and mostly the open source products do not have limited features. And the third one is scalability. For the government sector, it is important to have the features of upscaling, such as both vertical and horizontal scalings. So actually it should not concern whether it is scaled upwards or sideways. The core factor should be both the tech stack is being able to handle heavy loads without lags and interruptions. In a web stack, there are tools like Angular, React, Node.js, Golang. They have better scalability, and also Kubernetes is one of the open source solutions which allows rapid deployments and scaling of containers. So the other point is availability of support and problem solving. In common development stack, there should be tools to track down different projects involved, source code and binary management, along with document writing. And the other point is continuous integration and continuous deployment, CI/CD. When it comes to internet and government intranet environments, a common development stack, build management and release management for application has to be there in order to automate the delivery of the application. The other part is monitoring the events. So there should be solutions like Kubernetes to allow the developers to easily write monitoring programs when it comes to transactional level commitments. Since the government transactions are mostly based on data-driven platforms, it is essential to monitor the logs and monitor the events. So the one of the major areas to be concerned in a tech stack is security. So DevSecOps practices need to be followed to secure the DevOps operations with the government enterprise environment. So the other one is policy as code, a new concept to inspect the compliance with security policies is also one of the major part of security. This is actually implemented in Singapore GovTech as well. So again, the other one is features and the limitation that we need to consider while we are choosing a correct tech stack. So what are the features and also the limitations when choosing the platform for the tech stack is essential. So therefore open source stack is always comes as the first resolution for this problem. So the other one is cross-platform compatibility. There should be ability to applications to work across different platforms such as mobiles, desktop versions, since many of the activities in government can be in different sites. So the other point is ability to integrate with different technologies. The deployed application and components should be able to integrate with different types of technologies when choosing the right tech stack. The last part is usability. So the tools and components chosen should be easy for the developers, testers and the operation teams, as there are lots of rapid development activities involved in the government projects. The fifth part is methodologies and best practices used in the tech stack. There are several best practices followed in the tech stack enabled with DevOps. First one is we need the one of the major points is setting up the centralized unit. A DevStop enabled tech stack for the government sector usually have tools such as Jenkins, Prometheus, Splunk. The organization departments agencies should have centralized unit set up for the creation and operation of these tools. So the centralized unit can actually set up agile practices in the development team. This is actually the diagram where I have shown the continuous development, continuous integration, continuous delivery. We will be coming to that points later, and continuous testing is being involved. So this has to be these practices has to be followed when we are implementing and when we are choosing the right tech stack. So the second one is actually the continuous integration. Continuous integration, as I mentioned earlier, is one of the core practices involved in the DevOps enabled tech stack, whereas the development team regularly check in code changes, implementations into the repository. So the continuous integration execute, automates, and also builds the test to validate the quality of code else. And also this helps the development team to identify the bottlenecks in software development cycle, and you can detect and resolve these issues within the same phase. Third point is continuous deployment, one of the best practices. as we automate the builds, and also when they are passed, the implemented codes has to be deployed into the production environment. In this case, we have to deploy the code into different units in the let's say in the Sri Lankan government sector, such as educational departments, transportation department, or health ministry, inland revenue. So the configuration management tools such as Jenkins, Spinnaker, Ansible, Puppet, Chef can be used to automate the pipelines, whereas Docker and Vagrant can be used as containers on the environment, so that there will be minimum human interaction for the deployments. And the fourth practice is change management. Change management is another point, and when the new requirements are raised by different departments in the government, you have to have a change management process inside. So when a solution is delivered to, let's say, a ministry or somewhere, it is common to request change on their requirements. So since other systems which are integrated with the changes can also get impact of this, it is essential for the operation team to provide their inputs and reasons for changes. And fifth one is keeping all the teams on the same page. DevOps team work with different departments in the government, and also the communication is one of the major factors, and also everyone has to be on the same page when we are keeping the teams on the same page. So the sixth one is test automation. Automated testing is also one of the critical practices that we need to follow in DevOps environments. DevOps enabled tech stack. So automated testing processes saves a lot of time, and also on manual quality assurance in the code as well. And also this enables to detect early bugs and also fix them, and also it enhances the quality of the software as well. So we can use tools like Jenkins, Selenium, TestNG, and also JUnit for the automated testing processes. And also the continuous monitoring is one of the major areas that we need to consider. It used to monitor all systems hosted in the application layer using like using tools like dashboards, alerts, real-time log information. So this enables the development and the DevOps teams to enhance the performance of their application. So we can set up tools like Prometheus, Grafana, Nagios, and Splunk to accomplish the continuous monitoring. So now the last part is actually the implementation and the best practices that we need to follow when we choose the tech stack for the ICTA module. So as I have shown in the first video, according to that digital infrastructure that they have introduced, they have introduced several layers in the high level diagram. So the base layer is actually the Lanka government network. On top of it, we have the government cloud located. So when choosing the cloud, we need to be aware on the certain aspects, the availability, data management, design and implementation, and monitoring on the cloud. So there are different types of vendors involved with cloud services such as AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Heroku, and also there are, for the organizations, departments in the government do not need to build the web platform since it is time consuming. So the cloud should offer both public and restricted hosted environment, and the platform should also be enabled dynamically to allocate resources to handle greater network traffic and large number of concurrent users or batches of data as well. So when it comes to infrastructure as a service, we need to select the continuous integration and continuous deployment tools for the continuous um, uh, we have to use CI/CD tools. So therefore a tool like Jenkins can be used for this, since it is an open source automation server written in Java. So it also has the extensive plugins to ecosystems built for the continuous integration, and also it supports cloud environments. So using Jenkins actually enables the developers to schedule their test automation and also build their environments. So Now the applications developed by the development teams need to be delivered in a rapid pace, so we need to use containers for that. So we can't